What's up everybody, I'm Seth Fowler and today I'm counting down my top 10 favorite new sneaker models of 2019 so far. Obviously the year is only halfway through, but there have been so many excellent brand new sneaker models that have dropped this year, I felt like now would be a good time to make this list. The way I'm picking shoes for this list is by picking the shoes that I feel like are the most well-designed brand new sneaker models of this year. And by well-designed, I don't just mean aesthetically, I don't think they're all the most beautiful shoes in the world. I picked them because I feel like they're the best or most interesting in a certain category, whether that's technology, visual design, or function. This list is sort of going to be a part 1 and I'll have a part 2 at the end of the year, but without further ado, let's jump right into it. Number 10, the Nike KD12. The KD12 is the latest iteration of Kevin Durant's illustrious basketball sneaker line. And even though it doesn't look that incredible, it actually performs really well on court. Now I know I said this list is all about design, but design is not only about the outer aesthetics, it's also about the technology and the feel of the sneaker itself. And the reason I put this shoe on the list is because the design intent behind the sneaker was to be able to just throw the shoe on for the first time and already have it feel like it was broken in. Most basketball shoes require some break-in time, whether that's 1 game or 17 games, it really just depends on the sneaker itself. And the fact that Nike and KD wanted to design a shoe that you could pull right out of the box and already feel like you had played in that shoe for some time is pretty incredible. Now, like I said, the actual aesthetics of the shoe and the actual overall look of the model itself isn't my favorite. I feel like the shoe looks a little bit awkward. It's got a pretty large ankle area and sort of just a wedge-like shape, and I realize that's not unique to this particular sneaker, but in my opinion, from a visual standpoint, it doesn't look like a signature shoe. There's nothing about it that really seems unique or interesting. Now, of course, the technology that actually goes into the sneaker is very impressive, and the cushioning setup that they devised for this shoe is also incredible, but from a visual point of view, I don't love it. However, one thing I've learned about sneaker design is that no matter how ugly a sneaker model might look, if it's given the right colorway, it can look incredible. So maybe that's just what it is. Maybe I haven't seen the KD12 in the right colorway for me to really fall in love with it. But as a basketball performance sneaker, it would be the first one that I'd go to. Plus, right now, Kevin Durant is one of the top 3 best basketball players in the NBA, so having his name tied to a sneaker really helps the selling proposition. Number 9, the Nike Air Fear of God Raid. The recent collaboration between Jerry Lorenzo's brand Fear of God and Nike has really given us some pretty incredible silhouettes over the last couple months. You've got things like the Air Fear of God 1s, you've got the Air Shoot-Arounds, and now you've got the Air Fear of God Raids. The inspiration behind this sneaker was Jerry Lorenzo's love of the Nike Air Raid, an outdoor basketball shoe. And that inspiration becomes very obvious when you look at the two shoes together. They both have sort of an X-shaped strap system over the tongue and sort of a mid-top to low-top stance. Obviously, the Fear of God Raid is more of a designer shoe than a basketball shoe, but you can definitely see the inspiration from the Air Raid. I love this sneaker for the sleek and clean detailing. In particular, I love the midsole and the air unit. The midsole is pretty similar to the one found on the Fear of God 1s, but those sneakers didn't come out this year, so that's why I'm going with the Fear of God Raid. Not only that, but the strap system covers up a lot of the lacing, so it makes the shoe seem a lot more minimal. And you guys know me, I love minimal and simple design. The Nike Air Fear of God Raid isn't the most out there shoe and might not turn a lot of heads, but it is a great subtle flex and it's a great looking shoe overall. Number 8, the Air Max 720. Even though I find the Air Max 720 relatively uncomfortable and difficult to walk in, the design leads you to believe that it's the most comfortable shoe in the world. When you look at that giant air unit, you immediately assume that it's like walking on clouds. And it's not, but it's a good looking shoe. But before I stepped in that shoe, I really thought it was going to be a life-changing comfort experience, and I was wrong. The Air Max 720 styling is very organic and very futuristic, and if that's a design language that you like, it's not a bad way to go. Just be prepared to relearn how to walk in that shoe because the heel just keeps hitting the ground when you're walking. It is a very eye-catching shoe, especially in some of the really bright colorways that Nike has given this silhouette over the last couple months. The upper is made up of sort of a molded foam mesh material, and some of the lines that upper has are pretty pleasing to the eye. Functionally though, I don't love the sneaker. There's sort of an amorphous blob-shaped ventilation hole type thing on the midfoot that literally does nothing, and of course, like I mentioned, the aero unit is really difficult to walk on, but from a distance, it's a good looking shoe. I like that Nike is trying new things and pushing boundaries and even changing their design style a little bit, but I just wish the shoe was a bit more comfortable. Number 7, the Nike Presto React. The Nike Presto React is Nike's latest take on the classic Presto silhouette. The shoe features a full React midsole, which is Nike's new proprietary foam technology, which feels incredible underfoot. I've always loved the Presto because it's such a simple and clean looking sneaker, and even though it doesn't have too much technology going on, it's still one of the most comfortable sneakers in my collection. The Presto has been a go-to and a classic for decades, and it's really cool to see Nike continuing on that legacy with a new version of the sneaker. I still have yet to try on a pair of the Nike Presto Reacts, but from what I've heard, it's incredibly comfortable and it's a shoe that I'm definitely looking forward to trying out. My one gripe about this sneaker is the midfoot cage. The midfoot cage carries on the same design language from the midsole, which is sort of that Nike React organic sort of circle line connected thing. I don't know what the deal is with that. I don't think it's that bad, I just don't like it on the midfoot cage. If Nike had simplified the midfoot cage, I think this sneaker for me would be a lot higher on the list, and I probably would have already bought a pair. But as the shoe sits right now, none of the colorways have really convinced me to make the jump yet, and that midfoot cage definitely isn't helping. That said, the Nike Presto React is apparently a very comfortable shoe, and it's relatively inexpensive, so it's one of the silhouettes that I'm pretty excited about this year. Number 6, the Nike Zoom X Vaporfly Next Percent. The Next Percent is Nike's latest high-performance running sneaker and is designed around professional athletes. The Vaporfly Next Percent is the successor to the Nike Vaporfly 4%, which was named that because it apparently increased running efficiency by 4%. So I don't know what percent Nike is expecting this shoe to increase efficiency by, but apparently it's at least a little bit. The Nike Zoom X Vaporfly Next Percent has a very aggressive look, even more aggressive than last year's version. It features a hefty amount of Zoom X in the midsole, which is incredibly soft, arguably Nike's softest foam, and also a full-length carbon fiber plate underfoot to help you spring into your next step. Not only that, but it's got an incredibly light Vaporweave upper, which reduces weight while also increasing strength, which is kind of crazy. And the shoe overall is an incredibly innovative sneaker that's really pushing the boundaries of performance running. Number 5, Kawhi Leonard's New Balance OMN1S. Last year, Kawhi Leonard made the switch from Jordan Brand to New Balance, which for a lot of people didn't make sense. Switching from the well-established basketball performance brand Jordan Brand to New Balance, which hasn't made a basketball sneaker in years, seemed like a weird decision. But when you think about it, it makes a lot of sense. Rather than having to follow in Michael Jordan's footsteps, he can blaze his own path with a new brand. And that's exactly what he did with the OMN1S, or Omnis, I think they're called. This shoe is the first Kawhi Leonard branded performance basketball sneaker that New Balance has dropped. And I've got to be honest, for their first attempt, it's a pretty good shoe. It's not the most exciting shoe in the world, it doesn't look incredible, it doesn't perform incredibly well either, but it's a good shoe overall, and for the first attempt, it's a really good way to go. And if Kawhi Leonard wins the championship in this shoe, which it looks like he's gonna do, it's going to be one of those legendary sneakers. I personally like this shoe for a lot of reasons. The first and most obvious is that I think it's a good looking sneaker. Like I said, it's not like groundbreaking, it's not a beautiful shoe, but it's a pretty solid looking sneaker. Another reason is for the player behind the sneaker. Kawhi Leonard is an incredible two-way basketball player. He's sort of an enigma of a person, and he's an all-around fun guy. Although I'm not a Toronto Raptors fan, I'm a Kawhi fan, even though he knocked out my Sixers in Game 7, which is ridiculous because I think we could have beaten the Warriors this year as well. It's like not that hard, all the players are injured. Regardless, he's an incredible player, he's super humble, I love his style of basketball, and this sneaker is just a great representation of who Kawhi Leonard is. Number 4, the Adidas Night Jogger. The Night Jogger is a brand new silhouette from Adidas, and it's one of the first new silhouettes from Adidas in the last couple months that's really caught people's attention. If this shoe had dropped when people were saying that Boost was life, this shoe would have blown up. It would have been impossible to grab. I love the retro runner inspiration, and I think the low-key design details all combined together create a really cohesive and good-looking shoe. The Night Jogger is just a good-looking everyday shoe, and you can find a lot of different colorways to match pretty much anything you want to rock. The one downside for this shoe, at least for me, is that I think the upper isn't the most comfortable thing in the world, and I found the first couple times that I wore it, it kind of rubbed against my ankles, and I just didn't like the way that felt. But now that I've worn the shoe for a while, the problem pretty much disappeared, and now it's one of those shoes that I throw on probably about twice a week. Number 3, the Air Max 270 React. Now this shoe doesn't release till July, but the Air Max 270 React really caught my attention. Like the Presto React, Nike is remaking one of their lifestyle models with a React midsole. The shoe still features the 270-degree heel air unit, which, like the 720, isn't the most comfortable thing in the world, but the forefoot and midfoot of the sneaker is all React, which I think will really balance out the sneaker nicely. But the main reason I like this shoe is because I absolutely love the way it looks. I think it's an incredibly designed sneaker. And not only that, the initial colorway that's releasing is designed to commemorate the 100th anniversary of the Bauhaus Design School in Germany. So not only do I think the overall silhouette looks great, I also think this colorway is incredible. Of course, I can't actually speak to the comfort of this shoe, but when the shoe drops, I will definitely be grabbing a pair and definitely be doing a review because I think it could be one of the best shoes of 2019. Number 2, the Adidas Futurecraft 4D ZX 4000. The ZX 4000 is one of the first 4D sneakers to be designed specifically for lifestyle wear and not for performance wear. And this shoe, at least in the launch colorway, is pretty nuts, and I absolutely love it. My favorite part about the shoe is of course the 4D midsole, which was 3D printed, which I think is the coolest thing ever. In addition to the manufacturing technique of the midsole, I also love the aesthetic of it. I think that sort of weird, webbed-like grid going on is really cool. cool looking. I do have to say though that 4D, if you've never tried it, it feels nothing like Boost. It feels maybe even stiffer than some EVA midsoles. But it's not uncomfortable, at least for me, and I think when paired with the upper of the ZX 4000, this shoe pops. Out of all the ZX 4000 colorways that have dropped, I don't think there's been one that I haven't liked. It is really expensive though, and that's probably why I haven't picked up a pair for myself yet. The ZX 4000 is an awesome lifestyle take on an excellent innovative technology, and I love to see what Adidas does with future Kraft next. Number 1, the Nike Adapt BB. Self-lacing sneakers has always been one of those future technologies that people have always wanted. And this year, Nike made that technology a lot more accessible to the masses. Although the Nike Adapt BB is still expensive for a sneaker at $350, it's much cheaper than the previous Hyper Adapt that retailed for $720, and it's much cheaper than the self-lacing Nike Mag. But for me, the more attainable price point isn't the most exciting thing about the sneaker. The fact that you can actually play basketball in it and that NBA players do play basketball in it is by far the most interesting part. The Nike Adapt BB has a tiny motor in the midsole with a battery and somehow withstands 200 to 300 pound basketball players landing on it multiple times in one night without breaking. That to me is incredible. I don't know how they engineered that. I don't know how they created a motor that's made mostly out of plastic that can withstand that much force that many times in one session. I think that's unbelievably incredible. Aesthetically though, I don't think the shoe is that incredible. It's not a bad looking sneaker. I actually think it's a pretty futuristic looking shoe and I don't mind the way it looks, but it's nothing like beautiful. I'm really excited to see Nike implement this technology in more shoes, like running sneakers and maybe even some lifestyle sneakers. But that's the reason the Nike Adapt BB is at the top of the list, because it makes you feel like you're in the future, which is a crazy feeling. But that pretty much wraps up the list for today. Now I would love to know your thoughts on this list and which one of these shoes you like the best, so make sure to leave those comments in the comment section down below. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.